presentation of solar energy by myself, Tate Armstrong, Greg Zabert, and Adobe Fountain. What is solar energy? Solar energy is simply sunlight that is converted into electricity. Although we have been using solar energy for many years, photovoltaic solar panels have increased the usage of solar energy and its efficiency. PV solar panels help directly convert solar energy into electricity that is stored in a battery. In the timeline shown behind me, it gives a history of solar energy starting back in BC and then going up to 1954 when the first ever PV solar cell, or photovoltaic solar cell, was invented. According to this graph provided by ISEP, or the Institute for Sustainable Energy Policies, 6.4% of our energy is solar energy, while fossil fuels still take 78.3%. This shows a problem for our world today, because most of our energy produced comes from a non-renewable source of energy that will not be sustainable in the future. This is where solar energy comes in. According to a quote by Divijer van den Isch, both an environmental engineer, the world's demand is growing fast because of population explosion and technological advancements. It is therefore important to go reliable and cost-effective for everlasting renewable energy sources for energy demand arising in the future. Although solar energy is good and effective, it does face certain problems or limitations, including cost and reliability. The first problem, money. According to scientist Nathan S. Lewis, a professor of environmental studies who attended Caltech, at present, solar energy conversion technologies face cost and scalability hurdles in the technologies required for a complete energy system to provide a truly widespread primary energy source. Solar energy must be captured and stored in a cost-effective fashion. This quote shows that the money for solar energy is a major limitation of it becoming a widespread source of energy. The second problem, reliability. According to Pete Wolfel, a scientist at the Karolinska Institute of Technology, solar energy is a heat of 580 K. Any system converting solar energy into mechanical, chemical, or electrical energy is a heat engine. And due to this, it is recognized that processing the instant solar energy current is not possible. This makes it a major limitation.
Our first solution to these problems that we came up with is to use government subsidies. So, to sum it up, government subsidies are a grant provided by the government, which usually comes in the form of a tax break to provide a service to the government or the people in that company. There are many kinds of subsidies, but solar usually comes in the form of house subsidies or homeowner subsidies, which are provided to people who own homes, obviously, or are living in a house. So, although this is obviously a big cost to many countries because you have to provide these solar panels for all the people, so it's great for rich countries such as the US, countries in the EU, Japan, India, etc., but it's not so good for poor countries that can't provide this. It also provides a tough question for communist countries because you either have the decision to implement for everyone or you have the decision to implement for no one. So it's going to be a big cost. So this prompted researchers to do a study in South Korea, a country which is relatively middle class, so it provided a good middle ground for them. And they made 9 scenarios and had 9 results or 9 solutions to it. And the results were mixed at best. So although the energy that was provided from these solar panels in the country went up 3-fold from 200 kilowatts an hour to 600 kilowatts an hour, the price that the government was giving out to people for solar went up about 100 times, from $6,000 US to $600,000 US. And another big problem that is involved with money and solar is how long it takes to pay this off. Fortunately, the results in this study were able to show that it would take only 4 to 5 years to start making your money back. But some questions begin to arise about the location and how that environment and climate plays into the impact of getting reliable energy.
Solution 2, better storage. It's no secret that solar energy is currently an unreliable source of energy. According to Teresa Iosa, this is largely due to the sun and the weather being limiting factors, in particular the clouds. Currently, we just don't have the technology to absorb energy from the sun when the clouds are out or when the sun is not visible. This is a cause for many people not investing in solar energy. Many scientists are now looking for better alternative or better ways to improve the technology so we can better absorb the energy from the sun. One of the best designs would be a passive system. In a test done by Christoph Sorek, a researcher at AGH University, he put solar panels in a greenhouse and the solar panels absorb the sunlight. The excess heat from the solar panels is trapped inside the greenhouse, and through the night, the energy is burned that is absorbed by the solar panels as well as the heat trapped in the greenhouse. Still, there's no great way to do this while the clouds are out or the sun is not visible and the technology is just not where we need it to be.
After a deep dive into the world of solar energy, we have decided that changing the system to solar in terms of storage is a superior option. As stated previously, we do not believe that governments will and can be trusted by the people. And subsidies only move the money around and increase taxes and are not a viable option in the long term. Investing money in something like storage will help solve the root of our problem. Even though money and reliability are not the only problems that arise from solar energy, increasing storage will solve most other similar problems. Solar panels are increasingly growing, and increasing storage can reduce hesitation. This chart by Pew Research Center, a nonpartisan organization that performs polls on topics similar to solar energy, shows the increasing popularity of solar power. Solar is currently the most prevalent in the West, specifically the Pacific, with 62%. Either have or are thinking about obtaining solar energy. And with increasing popularity of solar comes increasing downtime, which can be resolved by improved research and projects that store solar power. Hesitations mentioned earlier of solar can be largely eliminated with more storage. And who wouldn't want more power? Besides, all this stored energy can save you on a rainy day, literally. Here's our work session.
Okay, so I'm going to start with you. Can you give one specific way that your thinking changed as a result of Ronnie's findings?
Can you repeat the question?
Can you think of one specific way your thinking changed as a result of learning about Ronnie's findings?
Ronnie studied a lot about the political, which mainly talked about the subsidies, which he found weren't as viable because of the increased taxes and moving the money around, and how hard it is to make a law, and how that would be really hard to implement for the long term.
Okay. And then Ronnie, if you had another team member, what other perspectives or limitations could they have researched that would have made a useful contribution to your project?
So if we had another team member, I'd probably say the scientific ones, because it would help us learn more about the scientific part of solar energy and more about the storage and how that can affect the general solar energy and how that can be.
Okay. And then what is a way in which your team's resolution makes you think differently about your own research? Right.
So I had the economic part of this, and going through this research and finding out all the good things that government subsidies could do, I mainly focused on the positives of that when I was writing my paper. So the team's resolution and deciding to pick not government subsidies really changed my ways of thinking, and maybe we have to deal with the science of these things, not so much.
Okay. And finally, Aiden, reflecting on your colleagues' work, which one had the greatest impact on your overall understanding of the problem your group identified?
In my opinion, Ronnie, because being a political view, which tied in with the subsidies, and since I'm mostly focused on the solution of storage, I learned more about government subsidies and how that would affect everything, and how doable that is with different politicians and the economy.
Okay, great. Thank you.